Hi, guys. My name is Ola, and today I want to share with you some information about early childhood development, which I devoted like more than 17 years of my life. And I'm really proud of what I have collected. And today I want to show you how you can practically apply this theoretical information into your lessons or just in any type of interaction with kids. So let's begin. So, our topic today is early childhood development stages, and I try to create this comprehensive guide for educators and just, I don't know, I think anyone who is connected to kids somehow will find this helpful. What we're going to do here today is we're going to go year after year on the first years of life in human development. And we're going to see why kid does this or that, reacts this or that. Because the kid breaking a toy at 2 is a completely different reason for a kid breaking a toy at 5. So, and we will also try to understand and grasp what's really better, what techniques, what methods are really better to use while you are conducting your lesson or just entertain with any kid. So one of the first questions I had when I first heard about this different age development stages and children's psychology, I was like, why is it so important to understand it? We have lesson plans, we have supervisors, we we have all this like pre-prepped information. You just get into the classroom and interact with kids. But after some time, like first couple of months working with kids, I was like, well, I feel angry and I feel helpless because sometimes they do something and I can't control it. I can't do anything about it. I don't know what to do about it, and I just lose it. The class goes wild, kids go wild. Like, what should I do? And this was the moment when I came to exploring this topic, and it actually built a whole foundation for me as a teacher and just for a human being who understand kids so much better right now, and I can very confidently say that. So, but first, before we go any further into different stages, I want to share with you something that I call algorithm for non-evaluative processing of child's condition. It's like a big long thing, but what it really means is don't condition your kids or kids you work with something you feel is good or bad. Our goal is to one of our goals, right, is to teach kids on how to um, self-evaluate the situations, their feelings, and there is no way for them to do that if we put appraisal or if we say what's good or bad on everything he's like touching or trying to cooperate with. So here I'm trying to show you on how to interact with your kid, give him enough attention and understanding that he's not alone while he's learning and coping with something, but also make him work, right, on developing the skill of self-evaluation and self-confidence and of not being dependent on what other people say. This is, I think, one of the most common problems that adults say, because since we are kids, we're like, oh my God, you pooped. You're such a good boy. Like, no one tells me I'm a good girl when I poop right now. So let's take as example, let's take the situation when a kid comes up to you and he brings you a picture and he's like, do you like it? Usually we're like, oh my God, yes, it's so beautiful. Or some people can say, huh, what's that? He's like, that's a dog. And it also like, no, that doesn't look like a dog. Both of those things are evaluations. It doesn't matter is it good or bad. It just creates different types of attachments or disattachments to the adult, but it doesn't create an environment for a kid to self-evaluate something that he created. So first, when you pay attention, like, hey, look at this, that's a picture. You just silently look in the direction of the child, like you turn around, like you pull all your body towards the kid. Second, you join, right? You need to join this conversation. You approach the kid if he's standing a little bit further, and you position yourself at the child's visual level. So if you need to bend down or stand on your knees, please do that. You're an educator in a preschool class. So doesn't matter what age the kid is, it is never, never comfortable to have to look upwards all the time. And it feels very, very unnatural and doesn't create this nice trusting atmosphere between you and a kid. So as soon as you positioned yourself and look at the kid, you can start reading information. And you actually already did that when you turned around, you looked at the kid's face, when you sat down and like approached child's visual level, you already were able to say like, how's he doing with what he brought me? And then you, after observing all his conditions, you can ask him questions without these evaluative statements. You can kind of guess, like, I see you're satisfied. Am I right that you're angry or you're frustrated? What happened? And any experience of any of those feelings, you have to tell them, especially if they're like over emotional in the moment. You should like evaluate the feelings for sure. You're like, hey, you have a full right to feel that way. You're all good. Everything is okay with you, whatever you feel like. And again, using this algorithm, we also teach kids on how to cope with their emotions in the socially acceptable way. So after we did this like pre-assumptions and put those questions, we can go into the deep analysis. And according to kids' feedback, like, hey, look at this, do you like it? You look satisfied, are you? And the kid is like, yeah. Or the kid can be like, I'm not really. Even if he looked satisfied, you should still go step by step with this algorithm, because we don't know how this exact child works. So we just check every step on the way to be sure that we perform like a completely correct and purposeful interaction with a kid, even the small detailed situation. So and you're like, you can also ask like, what do you think about what you drew? Or like, well, I like it. Or tell me what you drew. I did this and this and this. Oh, how did you like it? How did you like how you drew a dog? I like it. Or I don't really like how I did the paws or the ears. And then you can go to the resolution where you're like, what do you want to do next? Do you want to like redraw it or like redo it? I can give you like another handout, like a blank one, if you want to finish it at home once again, you want to try it again. And even if a kid wants to try it again right away, right in front of you. And during the lesson, you have to give a kid this opportunity to do it, even for a couple of minutes. Go on with your lesson. Leave the child be for a while. They have ears, they have eyes, they hear what's going on around you in the classroom. But this ability to get a fulfillment of something they really wanted to finish is really, really important too. Now let's go through some situation which is like not that ponytails and rainbows. Like for instance, someone fell down or someone broke something and is crying about it. So you look at silently in direction, you approach and position yourself at your child's visual level, nothing changes and you're still silent. And then while you read the information, you're like, oh my God, are you heard? I see that you're crying and you're just naming, you're kind of mirroring the situation. You don't give any evaluation, like him being crying is a fact right now. So just try to say things which are just observations or direct questions or like on like yes, no questions. Uh, like, look, you seem, because when a kid is crying, he can be angry, he can be sad, he can be really upset, he can be, oh my God, like shy. It's like so many things. So, and you can read it on their faces because it's quite the shyness and the angriness are quite different. So, and then when you go into deep analysis, you're like, especially if they like fell down or something, you treat everything that happens in there seriously. You don't have this like demeanor face and like, really, it's not that bad. Come on, stop crying. No, completely prohibited. So here you do something like, oh, where does it hurt? Where what does hurt? And he can show like on a hand or something, and you just cooperate with the kid. Your task is actually to be sure that he's not injured as well. So you kind of like ask him to move his fingers, to move his hand, or like rotate your head, show me, let's see if we have a bruise. Do you want to go like if he's like if it's something under their clothes, you can offer them to go into the bathroom or hide somewhere because like preschoolers are already the age where they are not that easy to undress in front of other kids as like 2 3 year old. So and you just check it out, and if everything is good, you still ask about resolution, like what do you want to do about it. uh do you still want some cold patch, or do you want to put a band-aid if they really scratched or something happened. You're like, okay, baby, do you want to go to the doctor yourself? Or like not yourself, excuse me. You want to go to the doctor with me, or should we ask someone from, I don't know, their primary teachers or someone from the managers who they really like and are attached to if they really have something happen. So this is actually something that will create this possibility for kids to like look around and not get too overwhelmed in their emotions, because pain is pain, it's painful, falling down is painful, getting a bruise is painful. And even if it's just if it's just something small and you don't have anything left, but like you got scared or something, it still matters. And while they're still young, we should teach them on how to cope with those situations, good or bad. Like if the kid comes up to you with a picture and like, hey, how do you like it? Oh, you look happy. Do you like it too? No, I don't. It's horrible. Something out of nowhere. You're like, okay, uh, okay, what's wrong with it? What did you like about it? And then you're like, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to tear it up? Do you want to throw it away? What do you want? Do you want to like erase it and like drew all over? Do you want to like cover it with paint? Give them options. Just like don't overwhelm them too. There's always good place for balance. So this is one of the things which you actually can also try to use on other adults. Works as magic. Okay, now let's get to the main part. We're going to start with 2-year-olds, but I just want to tell you one thing. Whatever happens in the classroom, with whatever age of kids you are, even teenagers, 2-year-olds or teenagers, you are the teacher. You are the boss of the class. You are the one who should know that whatever happens, you can do it because you have the control. And whatever kids do, it's your choice to lose this control or to keep it. So whatever happens to a kid, you have to keep calm face, which shows and represents the emotions you feel, but doesn't disorient or influence other kids. Like if you're angry, show you're angry. If you're happy, show you're angry. If you're lost, show you're lost, but don't be too much, emotional, which would really do a lot of mess in the classroom. Okay, what do we know about 2-year-olds? So when we as humans reach the age of 2, kids start visiting preschool, like some early development courses, like different daycares, and usually how they think their brain is on the level of development where they still need an object to manipulate with it. So if they don't see an object, they still cannot imagine it. So if you want to cooperate with a kid of 2, you have to bring something in front of him so he can see it. Kids of this age usually do not respond you around this age, earlier or later they stop doing it, but around 2, they still will not respond to you if you call them from another corner of the room. You have to get into their eyesight. So this is something that what is also interesting is that the deep concentration duration is around like 5 to 30 seconds. So they take something, interact with it for like around up to 30 seconds, and they like you can give them something different and they will interact with that, and then you can like change it for something else. Kids can come back to something they really enjoyed, but if you really give them like 20 to 30 seconds, sometimes even 5, they're not very interested. You will be able to exchange stuff and um, be able to do something with them more productively. What happens in their age during this time is like they don't really run. They're like in this Brownian motion. They're very attached to the person they came with. They're still, their attitude is like, oh, a chair, oh, a toy, oh, another human being. They can try to bite it and check it out, still figure out how it tastes or how solid it is. And, they still don't have this type of imagination that we adults comprehend and understand of what imagination is. So we have this kid who's like very attached. He's exploring the world. He's tasting it, still tasting it a lot. She's still trying to put everything into his mouth. And, he's not very concentrated. He moves around, can still do some activity for a couple of minutes, glue something up or give him paint. He's going to draw something. Usually it's like 2-3 minutes. What happens next when we get to the age of 3, we suddenly, kid looks in the mirror and it starts responding. Like we ask kids like, who's that in the mirror? And they're like, it's Audrey, it's Jenny. And at around 3, I'm like, again, it's a very approximate age, but still much more certain than like it's still more 3-year-old than like 10-year-old. So at this age, they suddenly look in the mirror and they're like, oh, that's me. So this is the moment when they suddenly take themselves out of the whole society And now look at the society, understanding that, like, okay, they're a separate particle. And what they do, we also call it a crisis of 3-year old crisis. They start to check this reality on how far they can go, as their thinking style is already visual imaginative. So they start getting this imagination um, developed, but they still need something like visual to reconfirm it. So, for instance, if you're talking to a 2-year-old and you want to talk about the apple is the only thing you can show to the 2-year-old and explain that this is apple. For a 3-year-old, you can already take like a red ball or anything else which is shaped like an apple and say, hey, does this shape look like an apple? It's like, yeah. And you're like, okay, let's imagine these are like 3 apples. Or like, let's put these apples in the box. And so this is how visual imaginative thinking style already works. And because they can imagine already, what they do closer to like 3.5, maybe even 3 right now, because kids develop so much faster right now, they start lying. And this is actually a very good sign. That's a sign that, yes, the kid is definitely on the way of developing his imagination full scale. But, sometimes we as adults, we react completely inappropriate towards this very, very important development stage. So what teachers usually have to do, or adults should have to do, they kind of react 50-50, like, oh my God, who did that? Not me. And the kid was doing it right in front of you. And once you can say, okay, well, it's a mess in the room, we should clean it together. Or sometimes you can say, well, baby, I saw that you did it, but it's okay. Don't worry. It's okay. You can come up to me, whatever happened, and we're going to clean this mess together. What this attitude creates is a very, very, very trusting bond where a kid, after some time, is not scared to tell you and come to you with any problem he has, because you and again react with evaluation of like anger or like, oh my God, what did you do? And all this stuff. We're adults. We can figure out kids and 3-year-olds messes. What usually happens with a deep concentration, like 3-year-olds suddenly start running. Like if 2-year-olds were like this cute teddy bears rolling around, 3-year-olds start running, and maybe 2.5, 3.5. It depends. So, and while they're running, it can be a real mess. But you can always, use your abilities as a teacher to stop it. Like I try to use the technique of like join. So if they run, you run with them. Then you lead. And if they run and scream, you start to run and scream better and faster than them. Like, and now let's jump. And you create the fun. Like, and now let's crawl around the tables. And now let's fly around the tables. And now let's whatsoever. And after you already feel you're a leader, then you can change their attention. And you're like, and now who's going to sit on the chairs the best? You can actually use this technique on many other ages, like up to like 10 years old, if they are like unfocused, like you've lost their attention. You can always do this thing, like look at what they're doing, join them, lead it, and then refocus them. What happens next? So as soon as the kid checked out all the reality, he saw how much he can hit someone or like go somewhere, what he can do and what he cannot. He's closer to the age of 4. He's like, that's society, that's me. Okay, I'm ready to go in and see what's happening there. And they already have a full scale imaginative style. This is why they start talk so much and so fast, and they ask these questions, and why is this and why that. Their deep concentration duration span is still 10 to 40 seconds, and they start being able to refocus again, but not as much as we adults do. And what they do is they really, really talk a lot. They make friends. They're like, I'm going to be friends with you. They fall in love. Please never treat that like making fun of it. Treat it seriously. Ask them about their feelings. Okay, how do you feel about it? This is their first experience caused by their imagination uh, developed, which will go to the abstract type of thinking style, which which consists all this emotions, and this is their first trials of making this human social connections, and this is how they learn of what type of person they are, how they connect with others. Are they leaders or are they followers? Because both are very needed in our societies, in our world. And then after they all checked it out, they finally get to this age of preschool where they have this abstract logical mind, which is actually what we adults also have. Like around 90%, some scientists say 98, some scientists say 70, but it's like definitely much more than a half. I personally think that it's around 90, based on what I read and like what authors I really trust. And what really happens is they start really comprehending this abstract knowledge, love, friendship, hate, things that you cannot touch, attraction, addiction, dependence onto someone. And this is when they start protesting, because now they were little explorers. Then they're like, oh my God, this is me. Oh my God. Then they're like, okay, let's figure out the society. Okay, I can be friends. And by 5, they're like, we can be friends against you. Their mind is already this adult, like that. We actually, I think, have this 10% left after we're like 5 to 8, after 8, that to graduate school, to get masters or what you want to get, to learn how to drive, to study any other foreign languages, to change jobs, to change our professions. And can you imagine how much our brain grasps and takes in, and how fast it develops until the age of 8? So this why this age is the most important to show and to teach kids on how to get knowledge, interact with the world, to deal with their emotions, to get to know how to process information, to find their own style, to achieve goals, to learn how to be their true selves, at the same time being respectful to others. So about deep concentration time, it's actually same for adults, which is funny because we people think that we can concentrate much more, and it's actually a fact, especially for people who meditate and try to work on their mindfulness and their concentration abilities. What we adults can do is, like, for instance, what is a deep concentration process is like when we knit, right? And usually, yeah, we count and we do all those calculations, and we look at our hands, what we do, but then we'll listen to a radio. Then we talk to our husband or to our kid, or we watch a TV. And, this means that after a while, when we realize that we cannot do something automated, we just come back. But actually, 5 to 8-year-olds are just small adults who will just now gain more and more experience, develop their brain until their frontal lobe will stop developing at around 21. And this is when we stop growing and start aging. Congratulations. So this is actually a really short guide on how to understand and reasons of why kids do these and those activities. Now, let's go a little bit deeper into the practice and what and how you can use it in the classroom. For those of you guys who are going through this online lecture on an educational platform, please use the file attached to this video, because there you're going to find more details and different techniques on what to do and how to cooperate with kids in every age group we just discussed with you. But right now I want to stop on the age gap for preschoolers, like 5 to 8. And here you see the universal instruction for any kind of activity you're going to conduct with a kid or a group of kids. And it's really universal. I love to universalize things, but here I want to use a lesson as an example, so we can just take it all together and get it the most productive way. So every lesson consists of main 3 parts. It's like greeting and a warm-up. The second part is a main part of the lesson where you interact and do something and it brings new information. And the last part is like cool down and conclusion. So usually you have to spend around 15% on the first part, 15% on the last part, and around 70% on the main part. Why do we use and how do we use this universal instruction? For instance, in the beginning, when you start a lesson and you want kids to sit down, and they're actually not even native, like English speakers. So you sit down in the circle, and first you say title. What are you going to do? Hey guys, let's say hello to each other. And you show it with your hands. And then you're like, come on, gather together, because we will sing a song and greet each other. Then here you are, you sit here, you sit here, you sit here. That's the algorithm. And I'm going to give you some flags or balls, or we're going to use our hands. Now look at this. You can change places for like purpose, algorithm, or materials. Usually the title goes first. It's like, hi guys, let's sing a greeting song together. Let's get in the circle, which is an algorithm, and sit down all around me. And we're gonna use these balls and the flags, like, you can mix it up all together, which will not ruin it at all. It will just make you more flexible on how to structurize everything you're saying. Why is this important? Is because the more you use this instruction, the more it helps kids to get this structured comprehension of what you're getting. They will only get certain things again and again. And for kids whose English is not a first language, this will really help to get acquainted with the language much faster and to relax about it, because they will just have this construct in their head. So what do you usually do in a warm-up or introduction? You can do a brief game, just some song like hello, 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 how are you? Then you can do some game for warm-up, like what's missing with the cards, or Dog Duck Goose, but I actually prefer to do it a little bit further. But if kids are too over emotional and like too tuned up, you may play this Dog Duck Goose game to just calm them down and control their activity, like activeness. Then when we go to the main activity, here you also divide it into sections. First, like I use this rule of triangle. You introduce the information, then if possible, you make them conduct an experiment or try it out with their hands. And then the third part of it, the third point of this triangle is that to like fix your results on a paper with some handouts, colorings, like sticking some things, including some stuff, creating something. And if you just go on this triangle again and again through your topic, by the end of the lesson, you'll have a good possibility for a cool down, like for them to distract from the main topic and then to get to conclusion where you can just rewind back, showing pictures, showing videos, showing something you were working before, which they can afterwards, after a cool down, relate to. And you're like, do you remember what's that? Do you remember what this? And just because you worked on this topic in this triangular method all the way through the main part, kids have formed good real structure. So I will also attach links, different resources for you to be able to get ready for the lesson. Like everyone knows Pinterest, oh my God, I hope it's not advertisement, for different handouts. Usually, please, if you have a group of 10, get like 12 sets ready, because we don't know, maybe someone will tear them up or will need extras or something. Please always be ready before the lesson, at least an hour before the lesson. You need to have everything ready in a box and like in a file box, whatever is comfortable for you. But you as a teacher, before the hour before the lesson, this is your time to come down and get set to what's waiting for you, because working with the kids of this age is a high intensity work. You have to be very focused on them every minute of the lesson. So please treat you well and get ready for the lessons beforehand. During 45-minute lesson, I recommend doing at least 2 to 3 handouts where they create something with their hands, like preset, or you decide what to do on lesson, but you have to have all the materials ready and instructions ready of what they're going to do with it. Also, I recommend having at least 5 games for cooling down and for warming up, with flashcards, with different toys, with songs where they can do activities like head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Different things that you can put in any moment in the lesson. If you see that something goes wrong and you just need to, excuse me, and you just need to grab their attention back to you as a teacher so you could get this control back to you. You can find all this information in the file attached to, and I wish you good luck. And the main rule, the main rule for the teacher here is to create this relaxed and calm atmosphere, which only keeps engagement on a high level, because it is not very productive to study while everyone is stressed, isn't it? Remember why you can learn words of the song much easier than you can study some information from your class, because you're enjoying the song, because you love it, and your brain can absorb it much faster. Create this atmosphere, choose activities and different handouts that your kids will really like, and this way you will create the space where they will really trust you, they would really want to come to you, and you will feel success and you will feel satisfaction out of it. So guys, let's summarize. Here we have a big amount of information, and I could actually talk about it for another 40 hours. But I recommend you to do this. First of all, study everything in the theory. Second of all, do practices with the instructions and with this non-evaluative algorithm, where you just play through it with your with people around you. If you have kids, try to do it with your kids so you can have it on practice. And the third thing, never forget to do a plan for the lesson and get ready for it at least, and be ready for it at least an hour before. Good luck, guys. And I was very happy to share this with you today.